Hello everyone, welcome back to Threatside podcast. We are now discussing events from May of 2024, and today we are having a special guest. As always, this special guest is deadrosesxyz, also known as Jordan. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor being here with you, man.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you. But before, I'm also joined with my co-host, Escrow. Hello, Escrow.
Hello. This is going to be a very good episode.
Yes, definitely. We have a superstar security researcher joining us today. So definitely, I hope that it will be very unique and very cool talk. So, without any further ado, let's start. Guys, I have a question first to you, the Roses. Could you please tell something about yourself to everyone that is listening to this podcast?
Sure, so some little background about me. I'm 19 years old. I'm another Bulgarian auditor, part of the squad, I originally started as a bug hunter, built most of my reputation through bug hunting on Immunify. And I joined Spearbit in April and been working with them since.
Damn, amazing. Another superstar auditor from Bulgaria, under 20 years old. How are you doing that, guys?
No, it's magic. It's magic, yeah.
So Jordan, what was your background prior to Web3 security?
Well, basically, as you can probably guess, I'm 19, so I don't really have any tech background. In my last year of high school, I discovered Web3, and so I decided to just dive deep into it. And right when I graduated, I just went all in, decided I'm going to be a full-time security researcher. And the interesting part was that I took that decision without actually having much of results as of then. So yeah. I don't really have any tech background. I just decided to dive into Web3 security. It was a high risk, high reward situation, which actually played out well. So I'm pretty grateful for that.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. It sounds like you played your cards completely correctly.
Yeah.
Phew. I wish I had such an opportunity to talk to you earlier. This is just amazing how you just drop everything else that was there and just follow that without any promise that you will make it, because of course many people are here and not making it, right? Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I was actually accepted into university, and it was just something that I wasn't really passionate about. So I was like, all right, if I don't want to not take risks only to just go and study something that I won't really be interested in. So might as well just try and risk it. Worst case scenario, I would just waste 1 year. It's not that big of a deal. Obviously it's not something good, but you just gotta take some risks, man. I was actually just pretty grateful that I was in such a situation, because I didn't really have as much to risk. If this opportunity came 10 years later, I would have had much more to lose. So yeah, I was a bit lucky to be at the right place at the right time.
Super cool. So yeah, then apart from that, this is just a part of thinking outside of the box. Just what you said, the worst thing that will happen to me, I will lose 1 year. Nothing big, right? I'm 19 years old. Who cares? Amazing.
Yeah, and it actually wouldn't really be a wasted year, because it would be a year of experience. Yeah, maybe I wouldn't been financially stable after this 1 year. I would have some troubles, but after all, it would be some useful experience which I would use later in my life. So it's honestly a win-win situation.
I agree with that. I very much agree.
Yeah.
So Jordan, based on you stating that you had no tech background, before entering Web3 security, I guess this question is actually very relevant. And I'm wondering, what was one of the biggest challenges that you faced in Web3 security?
Well, probably the biggest challenge was just getting disciplined to work the hours needed. Like obviously coming out of school with no previous work experience, I didn't really have that discipline in the beginning, and it was something that I had to, kind of build. So yeah, it was just very hard because like in the first days it was like, okay, I'll just put 2 hours of work today, maybe 3 hours tomorrow, like something like that. I couldn't put like 8 hours or 10 hours a day. But yeah, eventually you just need to kind of do this stuff for a long period of time and you get used to it. So yeah.
I agree. And more importantly, you also have to enjoy it. A lot of people, do it for the money as well. And I do tend to see that the auditors that do it for fun versus the ones who do it purely for money, the ones who do it for fun just succeed at a higher level because it's really incomparable in terms of the mindset.
Well, could be. I mean, I'm not necessarily agreeing with this, honestly, because I can see someone money-driven being extremely successful. Like, I don't like to say that being money-driven is wrong. Like, I don't believe in that. There's nothing wrong. As long as you do everything honestly, and you don't do, you're not dishonest, there's nothing bad with, like, being money-driven. I don't like this idea of just shaming people who do it for the money. I mean...
Yeah, no, I definitely understand your point. It's just doing something for fun. It's more specifically in regards to this being such a technical field. There's a lot of digging to do, a lot of learning to do. So that's why I kind of made the point of you have to really enjoy it if you want to succeed in it massively. Because if you do look at it purely from the perspective of money, it's not really going to be on par with just doing it for fun.
Yeah, for sure. It's gonna be harder if you're not interested in it.
Yeah, and I think that there is like this distinction, like for someone that already has established career, and like for example, Web3 can give him like 2x or 3x of what he already has. The incentive is not as big, and the monetary motivation is not as big as for someone who for whom the amount of money that he can get is like unbelievable. So I think that this also differs people and their motivations. And like talking about the money, you won, like, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe I have some outdated information, but from what I know, you won over $100,000 on Immunify in 3 months. That was from like 12 paid reports that you had, and also you received elite rank on Immunify. And my question is, how did you achieve that?
Oh yeah, that's a nice question. So basically we need to roll back a bit in time, and if you followed the field back in last August, September, you know that in September there was a drought of contests. There was no contests. And it was just the time which I really wanted to put all my hours into this, and I really wanted to do the contests all the time, and there were no contests, so I just had to find something new in which I would spend time. And back then I was thinking, okay, Immunify is this thing for experts, for some elites, for some ungodly human beings, and yeah, I just had no choice, but I decided to still give it a try, and this was in September, I believe, and I got lucky to find my first bug in, I believe, like 2 or 3 days, something like that. And I was like, okay, if I can find one, I can probably find another one. So I was like, okay, I'm going to stick to this thing. And in October, I hit big. In October, I hit like 50K in bounties, and I was like, okay, this is my thing, because this is a huge, like, I don't know, 10, 15x in my income, like, in just a single month. So I was like, okay, maybe I'm good at this thing. Maybe I'm not made for contests. Maybe I'm made for bug hunting. Maybe this is more of my thing. And I decided to just go all in, full dive into it, just find whatever I'm passionate about, like in terms of projects, and just fully dive into them. And as soon as you do that, you realize that, okay, nobody's perfect. The devs can always miss something. All of these projects have bugs in them. You just have to find them. And yeah, I just spent like 3 months bug hunting and hit the elite rank. And this was actually my goal. I don't know why, but the idea of having this elite hoodie is just something that kept me driving, like kept me pushing.
Yeah, like definitely. How much people do have elite rank? Do you know?
Well, I suppose the number is somewhere around 100, because like currently I believe ranked 93rd or something like that, and I have just over 100k earnings. So I suppose it's somewhere around that mark.
Okay.
Interesting.
So apart from Unify, of course, you did also contests, and in one of your tweets you mentioned that you did contests full time for a month. And could you please describe your experience doing contests full time and your thoughts on competitive audits in general?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I was mainly doing private audits before then, and all of a sudden, there were like 4 contests in parallel, and in the course of a week, they became 20 in parallel. So I was like, okay, there are a lot of contests. I just have to choose the right ones, and I'm going to make more money than I could possibly make from private audits. So I decided to just give it a try, just because like everybody was saying that contests are not as good as they are, and I was like, okay, you guys clearly don't understand the game. So I decided to dive into them. Yeah, doing contests full time is great in terms of like learning new stuff, because you're constantly learning new stuff. Contests are absolutely amazing in terms of learning because you have so many great minds thinking in so many different ways, and you always miss something. So yeah, this was a very good aspect of it because I could actually feel that my skills are getting better and better. So this was definitely a big plus. But at the same time, as I've mentioned, and you probably saw, it's a bit of a soul draining experience. Yeah, because the whole escalations thing is just mentally draining because it's just who can convince the judge in something that's not actually true. That's all about it. So yeah, but at the same time, I do believe that the advantage of doing contests are more than the drawbacks. So it's still worth it. It just you have to deal with this inconvenience.
Okay, so you mentioned that you are improving really fast, and do you have any specific approach to to improve with each contest? Are you like then only reading the report and like noting what you missed, or is there something more to that?
Alright, so basically the strategy I use, like, which will not make you earn the most in every single competition, but will overall make you the best player, is just doing the contest until you reach the point where like it's not worth your time, because you usually reach that point quite fast. You'd find most of your submissions, let's say if it's a 7-day contest, you'd find most of them in the first 2 days, and so there would likely be another issue which you would find if you spend 5 more days in it. But if you look at it in the way as of like the rewards, it's not going to be worth it to spend that extra 5 days just for one issue more. So yeah, as soon as you realize that, okay, my time is not worth spending any more time into that code base, you jump right into another one, and you keep doing the same over all of the contests that are running in parallel for as long as you can, basically. And then, like, sometime like 2 weeks go by, the results are out, you check the results, you will miss something. You will obviously not reach full coverage with this approach, but in terms of contests, that's okay, because you missed a bug. What about it? Like, no big deal. And yeah, you just keep on doing that for a long enough period of time, and you will become like one of the best for sure.
This is super cool tip. Like, this is contrary to I think what most people are saying is like, just grind all the contests, even if you think that you won't find anything more, just grind, to the last minute of the contest until you find everything there. And your approach is like, spend as little time as you can to have the biggest rewards. Like, we can say that according to Pareto rules, like, spend like 20% on the contest, find as much as you can in this time, and if you feel that you are stuck and finding yet another one will really require significant time investment, just move on. And this is actually super interesting, because that way, if you are only spending like 2, 3, 4 days on a contest, you have more volume of the contests, right? Because instead of doing only one contest in a week, you can do like 2 or 3 of them in a week. Yep. Super interesting.
Exactly. But like the thing is that something like, I don't want everybody listening to this to just follow this blindly, because this is true as long as like it's a bit of a game theory, because like if everybody just now listens to this and starts doing this, it's going to become actually more worth spending more time on the contest, because the findings that you will find in the last days will be even more unique. So this is thing that it is true as of right now, may not be true in the future. It all depends on how different contestants look at the contests.
But are you able to find like many unique findings doing that, or it's just more that you have broader coverage, that you, like, for example, find everything that, like, most of the issues that other people found, but because you found the most of them, you will like just have a good ranking on this contest?
I believe you can find the unique ones too. Like, I have not enough big sample size regarding my contests. I've probably led 6 or 7 contests on Sherlock, and they were all small ones, which basically had no unique findings for most of them. So if there's no opportunity to find a unique finding, then there's no opportunity to find a unique finding. But yeah, I do believe that you can find them.
Amazing. And it also like connects to, because I did research on you on Twitter. So you wrote, and I really like what you wrote in one of your tweets. You were saying that do what everyone else does and you will get what everyone else gets. So like you just gave the perfect example of that, just like spending as little as possible to get the broadest coverage. But is there anything else that you are doing, contrary to the like popular belief?
I don't know. I don't really know what is the popular belief regarding most of the stuff. Like, the only thing that maybe I can just share as the thing that I do is that I don't have any exact schedule. Like, I've always been like that. I audit when I feel like auditing. When I feel tired, I take a rest, and that's all about it. There is no secret magic. There is no Pomodoro. There is no like taking a break every X minutes. Man, you just gotta listen to yourself. Like, no, if you feel tired, no need to force yourself too much. If you feel like you have a bunch of energy, dive into a code base. It's as simple as that.
Exactly. You try to be comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But like, without Pomodoro, like everyone is using that. No, I'm just joking. Yeah, I also tried Pomodoro, and I'm also not the kind of person. This is super cool.
Yeah, I tried it as well, but I didn't really like it either. I think it's okay. It works sometimes. I think it really depends on the task that you're doing. I feel like for auditing, like it can work, but I mean, just anecdotally speaking, it just didn't work for me. But it's a good technique anyway.
I don't know, like the way, like from my experience, I usually when I get interested in a code base, like time actually flies. Like no kidding, I can just all of a sudden I've been staring at the same lines of code for 4 hours, and I can't imagine just an alarm going on and I'm like, oh, it's time for my break. Like no,
exactly, yeah.
You should be able to get into a flow state where you can just work for long hours. That's it.
I agree.
And how many hours per day usually do you work?
Oh, this actually varies a lot. Like, it all depends on how much work I've taken, because sometimes I take on more work than I should supposedly be able to. And there are weeks where I can work like 12 hours a day for 7 days straight, and like, that's it. But yeah, that's definitely not sustainable. I can't do this like all the time. These are just short periods of time. But if we have to average it out, I suppose it would be like something like 7 hours a day of full focused work, like where I'm actually just as productive as I can possibly be. And there's like 2-3 hours extra where I'm like semi-productive, like just maybe writing a POC, or maybe just reading something out of interest, reading a bug reports, like something like that, But yeah, like productive work, probably around the 7 hours a day mark.
Okay.
So given that you work so many hours sometimes, do you get burnt out as well? Or do you just, not believe in being burnt out and just keep going?
Well, it's not like I don't believe in burnout. Yeah, I believe you can probably get burnout, but it's not as easy as people say it is. I don't know. Like, if I work so much in a single week, I will not get burned out for sure. Like, if I do it for a month, maybe. But yeah, like, the thing is that if I work so much in a week, like, I don't necessarily need a rest for, like, the next week or something. I can just do 4 hours of work for like 2 days, and I'm just back to normal. That's it. I believe people kind of lie to themselves that they're burnout. It's more of like it's all in your head, or at least I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. There is like two biggest approaches to charging for audits, and just to do an audit. Like one of them is paper vulnerability, and another one is just traditional. You know what you will pay beforehand, and you get the service, and cool. What is your take on both of those approaches? Like, which one do you think is better? Which one has some virtues over the other, and what you personally prefer?
Well, I've honestly used both of them, like depending on the client, because I usually just listen to what they like more. And the thing is that I had absolutely flawless experience with paper vulnerability once, but I'd like to just not do them. Like, one, I like to know how much I'm getting paid, like that's it. And two, I believe all it takes is one time that we don't reach an agreement with a client, and it's going to be a pain. So yeah, I just like to know how much I'm going to get, be absolutely sure about it. Some people say that if you do PPV, you're going to do better because you're incentivized. But at the end of the day, you're always incentivized to do your best. Like you put your name behind it, you got to do your best.
Okay, like as long as you are not doing like super big auditing company like Certic, for example, who just can't find enough people to audit it and drops in quality, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also see like right now that many people are, including me, are joining together and form a teams. I know that you also worked in a team many times, and in your opinion, why solo audits are not as good as everyone believes?
Well, there are multiple reasons. So to begin with, you don't improve from them. You stay at the same level. If you, for example, start doing solo audits only, and you do that for a year, and you get back to contests or something like that, you'd be at the bottom of the leaderboard. You wouldn't improve, and in fact, you'd only get worse because you'd just forget some attack paths and stuff like that. You don't realize what you've missed, which is also a huge drawback. Well, if you work in a team, you can see what you've missed, and there is room for improvement always. Also, something else regarding the why solo audits are not as good, they don't really pay as well as everybody believes they do. Because usually the projects which go for solo audits are with lower budgets, so basically you can't charge them like a firm. And at the same time, you can earn the same type of money from doing contests, but from contests you don't put your reputation at risk. Well, once again, all it takes is just one bad audit, the protocol gets exploited, and you'd kind of get your reputation doomed. So yeah, I believe just people shouldn't believe that the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to become a solo auditor. There's much more than just this.
This is a very good point that you just mentioned, that you are just no improving, and you do not have this feedback on what you miss. And I think that this is problem with people who do security research in some company, any company, including consensus diligence, open Zeppelin. I'm not specifically picking on those companies, but it's just if you are working for one company only and you do not have this feedback loop, how do you know if you get better, worse, or what's your level? You can know that.
Yeah, exactly. And also another drawback which I forgot to mention is that if you've worked with many clients, you'd probably know that most of the people that come to solo audits are more or less pump and dump projects. You wouldn't get the actual nice, interesting, novel projects, creating something new, creating something interesting. They rarely come for solo audits. Well, the projects which come are just, something that you're not going to be proud that you've audited.
Okay, yeah, definitely. And like apart from that, yeah, what you said, if the project, is just another meme coin or another ERC20, like you are really not improving. Like there is nothing new to learn from it.
Yeah, like exactly.
I actually have a question for the both of you. So how would you view being audited by somebody who doesn't have, let's say, very good solo stats, but they have very good team stats in terms of bugs found on Code Arena, for instance, Sherlock, etc. Would that change your perspective of the auditor?
You basically mean someone who is inexperienced in solo audits but has contest experience?
Yes. So somebody who's just constantly participated with different people in a Code Arena team, for instance, rather than just participating solo. Do you think that affects their credibility in some sort of sense?
Yeah, of course. Like you just can't know if this guy actually had enough contribution in the result. So there's always going to be a drawback. Like they may be bad, they may be good. If they want to have the credibility, they have to go out solo, have to compete solo, and just prove for themselves. Which actually, by the way, is something which was a little drawback for me personally when I started doing Code Arena more. My first big results were all in a team, and you can't really show this to people and like make exposure out of it to just get clients because it's a team result. And yeah, I suggest like if you want to earn money from contests, probably do it as a team. But if you want to get credibility and show the world your skills, you have to do it solo.
Yeah, that's a very nice perspective.
Yeah, like I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. Like I totally agree with what you said. However, like I'm in one team since January, and yeah, of course, this is hard to tell. In our case, it's like each one of us has like different set of virtues and looks at the code in different ways, and it's like whenever I miss something, Sorry finds this vulnerability because he just looks at it differently. And yeah, the question is, will your skills be suitable? And yeah, as you said, like you don't really know what the other person brought to the table, and if they're there, only because they are friends with the guy that does all the work, or they are like really good, or maybe they are the one that really leads in this team. Hard to tell. Yeah.
Yep, exactly my thoughts.
So Jordan, I'm curious. Is there like a specific auditor that you look up to in terms of success or knowledge?
Well, to be fair, yeah, there's probably a few of them. So on the top of my head, Riptide, absolute goat. Gothic Shannon, he's a bug hunter, absolutely amazing. Lonely Slot, another bug hunter who's out of this world. Zach Obront is someone who I also look up to. Like, these are at least the ones on top of my head, which they're absolute beasts. Like, if I had to get my product audited, I'd probably go to one of them.
Yeah, that's a nice list.
Yeah, like
to be fair, there's probably a lot more which I had forgot to mention. There's so many great researchers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like, and the list is constantly growing, and like most of the people that you mentioned are specifically bug hunting. They do not do like a lot of contests. The question is, do you feel like there is something different, between the people that do contests and are successful with that from the people that do bug hunting and have successes with that? Because like you specifically have success on both of the fields. However, do you feel, is there anything specific, any set of skills or, just mindset or anything that it might be to make you more successful in bug hunting versus competitive audits?
The way I see it is that bug hunting is simply harder. That's it. And if someone has success in bug hunting, in my eyes, he's better than someone who's good in contests. And the thing is that in bug hunting, you have to be absolutely able to prove that this thing has actual impact, and it's not just purely theoretical. It's not just some bullshit. it has to have an impact. You have to be able to exploit it, and that's it. You can't go around it. Well, in contests, you can just get paid a few $1,000s because an EIP is not followed. Like, this is not actual impact. There is no actual impact. Funds cannot be stolen. So the way I see it is that bug hunting is just harder, and it gets you a better understanding of reality. You need to experience bug hunting in order to properly understand how everything works. Because if you go to contest results, you can clearly see which people have never ever submitted a bug report and try to get it validated. Because the stuff they try to make it seem like high impact is negligible impact.
Yeah, like blame the game, not the player. Like I think that it was Michel that mentioned it. Yeah, of course, like the game is, sometimes the submission that got accepted are really strange. So yeah, definitely, it's just like how good you can prove your point, like sometimes, no matter what the real impact is. As you said, like of course, if you are not following EAP, like what's the real issue? Maybe there is some issue, but maybe it's just so theoretical that it won't be ever like real issue.
Yeah, something you mentioned is pretty good on point. You shouldn't blame the players. You should blame the game. Like, I wouldn't necessarily attack any researcher because they've submitted something which I don't believe should be validated. Like, it's just part of the game. They've done their part. They want to make an honest living. They're doing so. Nothing bad about it. But I do believe some change is needed to contests. And I can see like pretty much all major platforms trying to go into the right direction, which is obviously awesome. And I hope they actually do. It's not an easy task because it's not just black and white. But to be fair, I see some progress. So that's obviously good.
Maybe there is something in traditional security that we can just take from escrow. Do you think about how can we improve on like judging the issues?
I mean, I think the strongest point here that we can talk about is, like Jordan said earlier, regarding the theoretical side of when you report bugs through a contest, whereas like on Immunify, in actual bug hunting, you go with purely realistic scenarios that can happen then and there. It's like in Web 2 bug bounty hunting, that is quite literally how it is. You're purely arguing, the realistic side of it rather than pure theory. If you try and argue theory, I mean, you're not really going to get far with it. Obviously, it depends massively on context, but 9 times out of 10, again, like I'm saying, you won't get far with it. It really depends what we want to argue with in regards to implementing some of the Web 2 tactics in Web 3, because it does vary on every single facet, so to speak.
Yeah, like maybe some kind of standardization would help here. But on the other hand, like what is the worst thing that may happen in Web 2? Like probably maybe some users' data will be leaked, or I don't know, like. And here, like even the theoretical issue, maybe will be exploited somehow. So this is like really hard, to put the straight line on, where it's where it will never happen and it's just theory, and when it might really happen. Okay, and yeah, Jordan, you mentioned that like you try to move as fast as you can, but in order to move really fast through the code base, you first have to quickly understand the code base. And what is approach that you take to really understand the code base in such a pace that you do?
Well, you're going to be surprised, but it's actually rather simple. You just open a random file and you go from top to bottom. That's it. You just probably skip the constructor and that's it. But that's the magic, man. Just go top to bottom. That's it.
Yeah, like I always think that you will tell, like specific like 20-step formula on how you approach things, and it's just like bang. I just read the code, get lost.
Yeah. The mid curve meme, like with the guys on the left and the right, just read it. That's it.
Yeah, on the left, yeah, and in the middle, I follow these steps that I do. Yeah, first I skim through to get the interactions, and then yada yada yada, and on the right, I just read code, top to bottom. That's all.
Yeah. And also, the thing about it is that once you get enough experience, like probably when you get like 2,000 hours of auditing, you will get the idea of the code rather quickly. Like it doesn't take like significant amount of time because you've seen most of the stuff. Like unless you're auditing, I don't know, Uniswap before or something like that, you'd get the idea in a matter of minutes, like probably 10, 15, 20 minutes, something like that. You will already have seen in almost everything.
Yeah, it becomes muscle memory essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically almost the exact same philosophy when it comes to Web 2 hunting, when you've got a lot of experience in, let's say, like, I don't know, SQL injection, right? Sometimes it's very easy to just test for it because it becomes muscle memory. You know it inside out, and it's like, sometimes, well, at the very start of the journey, it took like an hour or two to find it, and then 3 years later, it's taken like less than 5 minutes to find it. So yeah, it's very true. It does become quite literally muscle memory.
And do you write a lot of POCs when you are just verifying your leads?
To be completely honest, I rarely write POCs right now. It's most of that I do write POCs only for Immunify. So all of my subjects on Immunify do have a POC, but that's just about it. And now that I don't mainly bug hunt on Immunify, I rarely do them. I don't do them for contests simply because they're not required and they would take a lot of time, which time is valuable. So unless a sponsor requires it, I don't write any POCs. And I also just have this also when I offer private audits, I do tell every client, if you do issue a POC for a specific issue, please do tell me. I will do write one, but unless you specifically ask me to, I will not.
Okay, cool, understandable. Specifically for you, you're trying to maximize your outcome, and POCs, like first of all, they take time to write, and many times the developers are writing so many abstractions over their test that they test very specific things that they planned on testing. But if you want to do something that is outside of the bounds, like what security researchers usually do, they are trying to find things that are outside of the bounds and outside of the ways that normal user will use it. And in those specific cases, the test cases that developers have are not helpful at all, and you end up like rewriting the test from the scratch many times.
Yeah, it's a pain when this happens. But just to talk a bit more about this topic, because I suppose some beginners will take this advice. Do not take this blindly. If you are a beginner in the space, it's actually a great experience to write POCs. It really does help you understand how everything works. There's sometimes some errors which you couldn't ever imagine about, which you can just find through writing POCs. Because most of the times you write the first POC and there will be something unexpected happening, and sometimes these things lead to an issue and you just kind of get to understand the system properly. So if you have hard time understanding the system as a beginner, writing POCs could help you a lot.
Yeah, like 100% agree with that. And sometimes on competitive audit platforms, like for example in Condorina, you have a bonus if your lead is selected for the report. And many times what differs the report that is selected for report from the others is that it has coded POC. Like many times it's the case. So definitely on the beginning of your journey, you may earn like some super sweet bonus just because you have POC. And apart from that, you can like verify it and just gain more knowledge through doing that.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't believe that this monetary bonus, should be the thing that makes you write the POCs. Especially in the beginning, you shouldn't be too focused on the money. Like, this is probably something that many people do as a mistake. They get too focused on the money in the beginning. Like, just focus on getting better. It's as simple as that. As long as you can provide value, you will be able to make money. So if you cannot really provide value, don't try to make the most money, but rather try to be able in the future to offer more value. Just get your skills better, try to improve, and you'll reach a level where just the money will come.
Definitely.
You have a very good mindset, Jordan.
Thank you.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, like, and I think that many people, when they are starting out and like they are driven by money, like they see all those people, you know, just earning tens of thousands of dollars per month, and yeah, like someone that has success overnight, like not specifically overnight, but many times like half a year, and they think, okay, yeah, so I'm gonna spend 6 months and I'm gonna, you know, earn this money, and the 6 months mark passes and they are not in the place. Like, they maybe earned $1,000 total over the 6 months, and they are saying like, screw that.
No, exactly. This was actually kind of the point I was making at the very start, you know. It's like if you have literally two beginners and one's literally, again, doing it for fun and the other one's doing it for money. Let's say they both succeed, or let's say one succeeds and the other one fails. The person who might be doing it purely for money, for instance, it might create a bit of stress. And then it's like, you know, it's just a spiral from there, because you're not doing it for the fun side. You're doing it purely for money. So, you know, there's a very big difference when it comes to mindset in that aspect. Yeah. But actually, Jordan, I'm curious. What was it? What was the feeling like finding your first bug?
Man, it was absolutely amazing. So just to go back a bit in time, it was basically my initial idea when I was starting with security was to I just know about contests. I didn't really know much about the field. I knew that what's called arena, you could earn some money out of it from contests, and I was like, okay, I still had plans to go to university, and it was just my idea. I will get somewhat good in it. I will just start doing contests, like, you know, every now and then, just making a little bit on the side so I can live a normal life. Like, my goal was to probably make, what, $1,500, $2,000 a month. This was actually my real goal. And I was actually really skeptical whether that's actually a realistic scenario. And so I was studying security, and I stumbled upon a random project, which I decided, okay, might as well, while reading the report, I might as well just do an audit of it. And I did an audit of it, and I found a critical, which was not in the report, and I was like, damn, okay, if I'm not missing anything, that's amazing. So I went to report it, and long story short, it was not a live project. It was another security researcher's project for a hackathon. And he was like, okay, yeah, that's a valid bug, nice, but the code's not live. There's no real money attached to it. But yeah, he was generous enough to pay me a bounty of $500. And I remember I was actually on a vacation when he decided to pay me the bounty. And I just received a message, yo, what's your address? And I was like, as soon as I received the money, I was the happiest person on the planet. I was like, okay, this security stuff actually has potential. I did find my first bug, which was also missed by another auditor, so I might be somewhat good at this, you know, kind of build a little bit of an ego. And yeah, it was just amazing. I was like, okay, as soon as I go back, I'm going to get every report out there and just audit every project out there and just find all the bugs.
That's funny. No, that's cool as well. I feel like for everybody who finds their first bug, it's like everything changes. You know, you're feeling infinitely more confident, and it's like, you know, you're doing everything you can to just make it all work. And it's that just one payment that changes everything.
Yeah, it's a real life POC. Like, it just proves you that there is money, you can get them. Like, once you find a few bugs, you realize, okay, I can't find all bugs. Like, they're not much harder to find. I just have to concentrate a little bit, spend a little bit of time, and everything will just align.
Yeah, like, if I'm able to find like 20%, like, I'm also able to find like 40% and then 50 and like then all, and then find solos. Yeah, totally.
Exactly. That's just how it is. Once you can find one bug, you can find all bugs. Just a matter of time.
Yeah, amazing. And also, like we already mentioned some of that, but if we can summarize that by answering this question, like there are people that have super success in half a year, for example, or in a year, and there are also other people that do that for half a year, 2 years. Like they really, and like assuming that they really try hard. I know that there are such people, like for example Flint. Of course, like he has some success on his end, but he says that like he is nowhere in the place that he wants to be, and I know that he spends a lot of time on it. What do you think? Like, what differs like those two people? Like the one who like has great success over a year, and the other guy that really tries really hard and has no success on that.
So first of all, I just want to say, Flint is an amazing person. Like, absolutely love his journey, and he should continue. But the thing about it is, I do not necessarily agree that you shouldn't compare yourself to other people's overnight successes. Like, you should, in fact, do that, in my opinion. Because the thing is that you should aim higher. That's it. If you see somebody succeeded, yeah, there might be some story behind it, but you shouldn't just tell yourself, oh, we have different stories. Like, I shouldn't push myself too hard. No, you should actually push yourself too hard. That's if you want to achieve something great, you have to be hard on yourself, and you have to compare yourselves to others to make sure you're on the right path. So yeah, obviously, if you've been 6 months in the field and stuff is not as good as you'd like it to be, probably you have been doing something suboptimal. Like you have not done the best things that you could possibly do. So maybe just some advice to anyone who feels to be in such situation. Just step back, look at where you are, look at what you're doing, look at your game plan, and just try to analyze what's wrong. Because usually there is something wrong, which you've been doing it on autopilot. Like this is actually accurate for all fields, for all people. Most of the times, most of the stuff that we do is on autopilot. So just taking a time every now and then to just analyze what you have been doing subconsciously on autopilot, and just adjusting that will help you.
Yeah, like my personal story here is, like recently I took like 2 weeks off of auditing, just to zoom out, analyze my performance, what I do bad, what I could improve on. And I realized that, for example, I have my goals, how many hours I spend on auditing per day, for example. Let's say this is like 4 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, like doesn't really matter. But I realized that what I did all this time, I measured my performance based on the time I spent on it, not based on the goals. Like, for example, lines of code analyzed, resolving the specific amount of audit tags and things like that, because it's super easy to fall into this trap that you are doing something and you don't even realize that you are doing it wrong. Like in my case, it was like, and then I realized that, okay, like many times I'm spending the time on it, but it's suboptimal. I could do better, and I'm not really, looking at it from the things that get me to my end goal the quickest. But like sometimes you are in this experience and you are not seeing things around, and this is super cool what you said. Like sometimes give yourself space to zoom out and think again. What are you subconsciously doing bad?
Yeah, exactly. As long as you do this stuff, you will achieve greatness. Like also, like just some final note regarding this, like you should realize that nobody is greater than you. Like everything you see other people that have done it, they're in no terms better than you. They may have spent a bit more time, but they're not better than you. So you should, one, be harsh on yourself, know that you can do everything pretty much, and just be able to analyze yourself and criticize yourself. Be honest with yourself. Like just if you're like as I said, if you've been spending 7 hours a day and you do not see the results, you should be able to be honest with yourself, to be okay, I'm not actually there for these 7 hours. I'm not actually doing any good work. I'm just staring at my screen.
Yeah.
Exactly. And reflecting on those, specific time frames where you, for instance, didn't do as good on a contest is very important. Like you're saying, reflection in general is very important. And I agree with everything that you said, as well as you, Del. I don't want to repeat everything because I'll literally just be repeating, but yeah.
Yeah, like one final note on that, I'd like to add for everyone that is experiencing that, don't be hard on yourself. Like, this is your journey. You just have to, every now and then check, what do you need to improve on. But this is a journey. Like, if you already knew, what worked for you and how to get to the top, you would be already on the top. So yeah, don't compare it to the others. Just do your stuff, verify that you are doing and improving with each week, and you will finally get there.
Yeah.
Well said.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter on the person, some people like to compare themselves to somebody else and kind of set like a challenge, whereas for certain individuals it'll be detrimental to do so, and it'll create a negative emotional state. So realistically, do what suits you best and makes you feel the most confident and the best, overall.
On the similar note, I have a question, Jordan. If you knew what is the most important thing you do and you don't currently realize that makes you so successful in security research?
I believe it is the ability to just do the work when you have to do the work. Like, I do believe this is one of my strongest aspects, if I could call that. Like, if there's work to be done, the work will be done. Like, it doesn't matter. I may need to spend like 16 hours a day. I will do that. And I believe everybody should become this person, this type of person. Everybody should be able to do that, because sometimes life forces you to work 16 hours a day. That's just about it, and you should be able to do that. You shouldn't be like, oh, I want to work 5 hours a day, and if the stars align, I will become great. No, that's not how it works.
I love this because this is very philosophical, in my opinion. You give a lot of importance to discipline, and it's only right to do so.
Yeah, so most of the advice that I can give is just general advice. Like, you can take it out of the context of this podcast, you can take it to absolutely any field, and it will suit you best. Like, you need to be disciplined. It's as simple as that.
Like, just show up. It will suck, but with time it will suck less and less, and finally, you will get used to that.
Yeah, and if you don't show up, your life will actually suck more. So, you do something bad in the short term, but in the long term, you're doing yourself a favor.
Yeah, 100%.
So, Jordan, based on everything that we've spoken about, if there was to be one tip that you would give to somebody new who is starting out in Web3 security, what would it be? Other than, being disciplined, for instance, because, to be honest, you gave out a lot of alpha. But if there was to be one very important thing, which, to be fair, it might be discipline, you might actually answer with the same answer, but if there was just one tip that you would want to give, that's like the most important, what would it be?
Well, to give a different answer, to everyone who's new, to everyone who's a beginner, as soon as you can get to audit, start doing audits. Like, don't spend too much time on reports. Don't spend too much time on CTFs. Don't spend too much time on anything else, but just doing audits. That's as good as you can. That's the best advice you can actually hear. Like, the sooner you get to do contests, the sooner you get to actually see what you've missed, the sooner you'll become great. That's it.
Because a lot of people get stuck in tutorial hell, right?
Yeah. Like, I can see so many people enjoying doing CTFs, enjoying there are these security races. Yeah, they're amazing. It's a cool thing to do on the side, but if you really want to progress, that's not the optimal way. You have to do contests, you have to do audits, you have to get the feedback. And if you have some spare time and you find it's fun or something, okay, do the CTFs, do whatever you find pleasing. But if you want to be successful, you should do audits.
Very nice. This is also a random question, but do you first test?
I think I first tested probably twice or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I don't really find it as useful. Like, I can see some people saying that it's quite useful. I don't really do. like the only times I've used it was in some specific code bases where there was like just a lot of math and a lot of rounding downs, and it was just rounding in different directions, and I was wondering, okay, this has to be broken, right? So I decided the best way is that I'm not going to spend too much time trying to break it. I can just run a single fuzz test and see if that invariant breaks, and yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like prime example of like know your tools and like use them whenever they're needed. And yeah, I probably should mention it before, but you reached the rank of lead security researcher in Spearbit. Like, congrats on that. This is like huge thing, definitely. And like the even more crazy thing is that you joined Spearbit, if I'm not mistaken, in April. So it took you 2 months from security researcher to the highest rank of lead security researcher in Spearbit. Like,
yeah,
this is unbelievable. Like, I know people that are there like for over a year, like 2 years, probably, and like they didn't reach this rank. So how did you do that, man?
Oh, there's no secret sauce. Like, we'll get to the idea from earlier. As long as you can provide value, you will get paid or promoted or whatever it is in this situation. So basically, I should say first, huge thanks to Zach Obront. He was the one who got me in Spearbit. He was the one who recommended me, and I'm just extremely grateful for that. But yeah, I initially got as a security researcher, and my initial goal was instantly, okay, I need to become lead security researcher as soon as possible. That's the only goal. That's my main goal. I have nothing that should get in my way. So I was like, okay, how do you do that? Well, I need to prove myself that I am capable of of being there, of being that role. So I knew that I had the skills. Like, it may sound like a bit egotistic or whatever, but like, I knew I had the skills. I just had to prove them that I have the skills. And it was just all about showing them, doing every audit on time, being as communicative as possible. Just I had this goal to actually outperform everyone else in the team audit. I knew it was a team audit, but I was like, okay, I need to prove myself. I need to outperform these people who are actually absolutely amazing researchers. But yeah, and as soon as I got like 1 or 2 good audits with them, I think they saw the potential, they saw the good feedback. And they wanted me to actually get promoted, so they gave me more room to prove myself, and that's what I actually did. Because the thing is that I did get promoted in 2 months, but these 2 months were actually 7 or 8 separate audits. So this is basically getting, like, no other security researcher has had like such amount of audits in such short time span. They were just constantly getting me on different audits, and yeah.
Wow, like this is very impressive, and like especially what you said, like try to be like the best version of yourself on each audit. Like, people will see that, like, yeah, 100%. Okay, so I have 2 last questions for you. And then like we will quickly move on to discuss some of the most interesting issues of May. My last question is, what are your thoughts in general on DeFi protocols? Are you using any of them?
Well, to be honest, like, the biggest drawback of being an auditor is that I'm extremely paranoid in regards of what the projects I'm using. So there's basically like 2 or 3 protocols that I'm not afraid to use, and it's that because I've spent too many hours on them just auditing them. So if there's actually a bug in them, I'll be like, okay, I deserve to get drained, and these are like Uniswap, Velodrome, because I've just spent too many hours on them. If there's a bug out there, like, all right, I'm okay with that risk. But yeah, regarding most DeFi protocols, to be honest, I don't see much value in most of them. Like, most of them are just repeating the same thing over and over again. We're not saying anything like novel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of getting repetitive. But to be honest, I'm not like blaming anyone. I can't really see any new use cases. Like, any use case that could be out there, we've already done it. So like I think we should focus more. Maybe it's not just trying to innovate some of them, but like maybe trying to actually show the world like why is this thing good. Maybe like just try to onboard the next billion people users. Yeah.
No, I agree. It's like there's a lot of like useless L2s, arguably, right? I feel that's pretty on par with what you're saying. And I feel like maybe it's a case of also a lot of business owners trying to be first come, first serve in the space before it, completely reaches adoption. I feel like that plays a massive, role in it as well. But I definitely do agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of like useless projects just popping up.
Yeah, and the thing with L2s is that it's actually a step back. Like we're not progressing by using these L2s. It's because I don't know if you've personally tried to onboard a new person into crypto, but like if you have to explain them about every single different L2 that they have to get this coin, but then they have to bridge it, and it's just you can't onboard new people like that. It needs to be simple, and currently it isn't.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you on that a lot.
Because like I've had friends who have just received some crypto from who knows where, and they're like, okay, we want to transfer it, and they transfer it to the wrong network, and it gets lost. And you have to explain to them that the money is lost. Nobody can recover it. Like there's no admin who can just revert the transaction and get your money back. Yeah, and so this is what actually scares people away from crypto.
It's scary. Like my personal story is like 4 months or half a year ago. I think like it was somewhere around 4 months. I was transferring some of my crypto to Coinbase. I wanted to withdraw it, and I sent USDC not on Polygon but on Ethereum, and I sent $1,000. I was like, fuck. I sent it to the wrong address. Fortunately for me, like Coinbase had this particular contract deployed on many chains, and they accepted it. But I was like, damn, like I would consider myself advanced user of this freaking stuff, and I fell into this trap because it's a bit messy. You have to first switch the network, then switch coin, or the other way around. Like this is, I always have problems with that. I always double check that, but this particular time, like I didn't, and it was like, come on, like it's already 2024. Like we have Bitcoin for like over 10 years now, like 2008 or 2009, I can't recall, but and like we are still here, and the technology is in its infancy. Come on.
Yeah, and as I said, you're someone experienced, so this happening to someone experienced, like you can imagine what would happen if someone new tries to get into it. Like, and especially the fact that you mentioned just Polygon, like try to explain that there's USDC and USDC.E, and like they're different stuff, but at the same time they're the same. And I think it's Polygon. You have USDC, USDCE, and on Coinbase, like you don't know. Like you have USDCE, and you see in your MetaMask that you have USDCE, but you want to like send USDC, and what do you do? Like you don't know. So amazing, Jordan. What are your next goals? Okay, so that's a good question. Well, to be fair, I don't really have an exact goal in mind, which might not actually be good. For now, I can just see myself, doing audits, working with Spearbit. It's nice work. I enjoy doing it. I don't get overworked, so I can see myself doing that for some indefinite time. I'd love to go back to bug hunting at some point. Like I really do want to get that 7-figure bounty. Like it's no easy task, but I just want to at some point get to do that. But yeah, for now, I can just see myself, relaxing, taking work from Spearbit, just enjoying life.
Yeah, I mean, you've got many years left anyway, Jordan. Like you're in a very good position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly,
you
very good
test.
responses, Jordan. I really like hearing your mindset. No, but it's actually really cool. It's really cool to just always hear different perspectives from auditors, those who are successful, those who are unsuccessful. Everybody brings something to the table with what they're saying, and I value that a lot.
Yeah, of course. By the way, just that now that you mentioned it, it's this communication with different researchers which actually got me to be in this position right now. Because like last year, I did connect with so many great researchers at DeFi Security Summit, and this was a thing that actually opened my mind to get how the field really is, to get what is the real potential in the world. So yeah, it's always great to connect with different researchers. You have a ton to learn from absolutely every one of them. You should just know from what advice to take, what to take with with a grain of salt. So yeah, if anybody out there is in the space, I highly suggest you get to connect with people. And even if you're not in the space, in general, just connecting with people, always a good advice.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's move to some of the things that happened in May. Like one of them is Solana NFT frenzy. Yeah, we had constantly, this change of, sometimes we do have ERC20 frenzy, we have NFT frenzy, and it just juggles. And recently we have this frenzy on Solana, and with every craze there is possibility to find some rug pull, and this was actually what happened in May. I think that many problems that we don't have on Ethereum is on Solana, specifically on Solana. On Ethereum, this is basically granted that you have your contracts verified and you can check the code of the contract. However, on Solana, there is no such thing. You are interacting with the thing that you don't know what will really do to your wallet, and you're just hoping that it won't rug you, and sometimes it does. I think that this craze started with Ethereum spot ETF approval, and yeah, as always, just people were screwed. I know that pump.fun, this is one of the NFT markets on Solana, was also rugged by their own former employee who knew how the algorithm worked, and what he did, he just gamed the algorithm. So this is amazing. I don't know. I think that Solana has many things to learn from Ethereum. Somehow, I do feel that Ethereum is, a bit more grown up than Solana. What do you guys think?
So, to be honest, Solana, I would say it's in a pretty good spot, right? In terms of the market, it's a pretty good coin for what I can say. The network itself is also very nice. It's built up on Rust as well, which is a bonus, depending on how you view it. Solana overall, I trade as well. I degen trade, so I'm a bit experienced with Solana. Honestly, if anybody that's watching this, or even you, Del or Jordan, who traded back in 2021 during the bull run, I feel like BSC was a way better chain for a bull run, as what Solana is kind of going towards right now. Because a lot of people are calling that there's going to be a bull run on Solana, for instance. I think Solana would be pretty bad for that, mainly for what you said earlier, where you can't really view the contracts that you're interacting with, and therefore this feeds back into the rug pulls. I feel like when you have a bull run, you need to be able to view a token's contract code. Otherwise, you're not really going to hit a bull run at all, because there's just going to be constant rugs, especially on a chain like Solana. I think additionally as well, you've got a lot of people who are kind of sniping on it. Then you've got a lot of MEV work going on Solana. It's very hectic. And to be honest, this convo right here is not really too security focused. It's more sort of the general principle and functionality of Solana, and just how it's not really super beneficial especially when we take into account the rugs that occur on it. Honestly, it's quite crazy. I don't know. But the rugging problem on Solana is quite big. Yeah, I remember finding out that you can't view the contract code like accurately on Solana, and I was like, what? Like, how are you meant to know what contract you're actually interacting with? How do you know you're not just gonna get drained or dumped on, by a specific admin having access over a function that you've got no knowledge of? It's quite crazy.
To be honest, like, I maybe do not necessarily agree with like some of the stuff you said, like because I believe that you're a bit I don't know if I can say that, like, auditing build, because how many people do you actually think check the contracts before interacting with them?
Yeah,
like,
not a lot.
It's just us. Nobody really cares.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And I'm gonna give you another example. Like, what you go and I don't know. You go on Amazon. Do you really care what's happening behind the hood? Do you really care what's the code behind it? You don't really care. So, and that's how most people see it, I believe.
That is true.
But
people see it in a simplistic way.
Yeah, but I mean, I do believe Solana has some good potential, because the thing is that the user experience there is better. That's just fact. There's no layer to use. It's just so much simpler and easier and done better. And at the same time, they do manage to be onboarding new people. But as I just said, it's most of it goes to rug pools, which is now we're yet to see if these people are going to stay after getting rug pooled, or are they going to quit crypto forever. So we can't know for sure if it's a net positive for the space.
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
actually
Apart
agree
from
with
that, we have like Sona Finance hack, and this is like we spoke about these theoretical attacks, and I'm sure that this attack will be deemed as theoretical and not accepted. For example, on Immunify, like like Sona Finance is fork of Compound V2. Like, it has well-known vulnerability that if the market is empty, you can perform donation attack on this pool, and because in Compound all the pools are connected together, you can use the new pool to drain all the other pools. Simple story. So the Sona Finance team knew that that this vulnerability exists, and like the prevention for that is just before opening the market, open some first position, some small position, and just dump the tokens to zero others to do anything with them, so that no one else can really zero out the new pool. And the Sona Finance team just did just that. They scheduled like multiple governance proposals first, to create a pool, then to put the money in there, and then only to start the market. Everything is super cool according to the rules, but what they did is they scheduled 3 separate actions in their time lock controller, and anyone could execute those actions. So when the time came, the attacker, what he did, he just executed first and third action, drained the pool, and left the second transaction. So he picked only those transactions that allowed him to actually perform this attack, because the pool was zeroed out. Ouch. I'm sure on Immunify it won't be accepted. Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, it actually depends, because like if you see that the transactions are scheduled and anyone would be able to code them, that's absolutely a valid issue. Though it wouldn't be best to contact Immunify, but rather you should just try to get the phone number of the protocol team and just code them instantly. That's an urgent task, But the thing is, it's just a dump admin error, and it's an unacceptable dump admin error. Like, you shouldn't be in the position to control so many funds if you don't have these like basic concepts and basic best practices known and used in your protocol. Also, this also points out to the issue that anything that can be fixed on a contract level should be fixed on a contract level, and not just hoping that you'd be the first to deposit in the pool, and just try to get the fix on a contract level and then care about the rest. But yeah, honestly, the attack is so specific that I don't want to like point fingers or maybe blame it on the team, but kind of seems like an insider attack. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously, take that as you wish. Don't take my word for it. But you just sound like someone that it would be exploited by someone from inside the team. Because do really attackers watch and see? Oh, there's a time lock. Can everybody call the time lock? Just wait for the stars to line. I don't know. Just food for thought, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a strong 50-50. It can definitely happen just out there in the wild, but from an insider perspective, it can also happen. It's very likely.
But because the thing is, insider attacks happen so much. Like,
yeah,
no, it's not public. You don't realize it, but it's just so convenient. And because if just the protocol says, okay, we've conducted law enforcement and we're trying to get your funds back, do we really know if that's actually going on? Not really. And the thing is that they could just pull the regular trick, hack themselves, say that they're after the hacker, then return 90% of funds and leave 10 as bounty. Congrats, you've just taken 10% of your TVO from your users absolutely for free.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely suboptimal.
Guys, Jordan is a confirmed conspiracy theorist.
So I will just wear my tinfoil hat right now. Yeah, but this is actually, I think that we already discussed it before. Like, you never know who the hacker really is. Like, even if there is private key compromise, like, how do you know who that person really is? Maybe this is just a dev that had access to the private key that held like millions of dollars. Like, would you risk it for a biscuit?
I think it always, like, another thought I had is also just how many white hats just could be black hats. It always really makes me curious. Like, I wish there was just a statistic for it.
Oh yeah, for sure there are a lot of gray hats. Like, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot.
Yeah.
Like, because I don't remember which hacker it was, and it might honestly be okay. I don't know which it was, but I remember like Zach exposing a black hat, and I just went on his Twitter and I see he follows me, he follows the space, he follows everyone, and he's active under the comments. So yeah, there's a lot of people in disguise just looking at everything we post.
It couldn't be the
and,
index
like,
finance
try
hacker.
to exploit it. So we should be careful with that information. Yeah.
Yeah, so never mind, but yeah, like you never know. Actually, like the hackers that are being exposed by Zach sometimes, or by like any other means, like usually they're really young people in their 20s many times that are just in the space and are having some experiences with competitive audits, with bug hunting, and like they just decide to go, through the villain path.
I think it's mainly because, when you're at a younger age as well, you're very much piqued by curiosity. And you can also get away with a lot of the cybercrime laws. Like, if you break the cybercrime laws, you can get away with them if you're under 18. At least the majority of the time in the UK. I don't know about America and whatnot, or any other country in the EU, but I feel like a lot of the younger people, or younger black hats, grey hats, whatever you want to call them, it's curiosity that really gets them onto the more negative side, and just the amount of leniency that they have just before turning 18, for instance. At least that's how I view it.
To be fair, I suppose most of the hackers just don't realize how hard it will be to, escape. They believe it's just okay. They don't know my identity. They will never find me, and they're the brilliant mastermind behind the biggest hack of the year or whatever. But in reality, it's much harder than that. Like, to be fair, like, you may seem anonymous on the blockchain, but I don't believe you can easily just
yeah, there was this. I think that Zach XBT prepared
unless you're North Korea.
Some summary that North Korea was actually able to take out $200 million out of all the scams. Like, this is not everything that they really stolen, but to launder like this big amount of money, this is like impressive. So yeah, but you have to be a state actor to do that. Like, I don't think that normal people would, hire all the money mules and everything it takes to really launder all those money. Any tips?
To be honest, you would be surprised. In Web 2, I've seen in Web 2, I've seen quite a lot of hackers, Russian hackers specifically. They hire a lot of the mules for like Coinbase accounts, etc., and they just sell the accounts straight under the mules' names, etc. And it's a pretty common practice. It happens sometimes in the UK. It's not really as popular though. I've seen it, out of all the threat intelligence that I did, it was most prevalent in Russia. So yeah, I mean that's just
Okay, so any more details you would like to add for the law enforcement that's coming after you? Okay. Yeah, like, but I think that I was just not, interested in how to launder money. That's because of, that's why I don't know the details. But if you wanted to, do this, there's probably a lot of materials on like dark web, or even some like dark web markets when you can do that. So yeah,
I think probably using those would be the quickest way to actually fail. Like just open methods or whatever, because it's like you got to think about it as well from an LE standpoint, the law enforcement standpoint. They can just purposely give you false information, advertise it on the dark web, like you're saying, and it's like you're going to fall into it. Whereas if you just do proper research, I mean, you're going to be pretty safe from it. I do know quite a lot about this because I did cybersecurity at university, and I did cryptocurrency as my final paper for my degree, and it was regarding money laundering. So yeah, I know a fair amount of it. But yeah, it's really not as hard as you would think it is. It's quite easy. It's just the more money you have to launder, that's kind of where the problem comes in. Because small quantities, it's really easy. But obviously, if you're talking like, I'll probably say anything above maybe like 1 million, that's where it just kind of gets a bit iffy.
So kids, if you want to launder money, please do not search dark web through Google. Oh my god. Like on a similar note, I think that the last topic for today, but I think that this is very important topic, is like Tornado Cash developer sentenced to 64 months in prison. I think that most of the people heard this story, that the developer of Tornado Cash was sentenced. His trial went on and on and on, and no one knew how it will turn out. Like, many people wish that it will turn out good for him, but actually he was sentenced to 64 months. And the thing is, of course, Tornado Cash was used by bad people to hide the flow of funds. But still, you can tell this about any of the tools, and actually, at least according to US law, is code is just an expression of yourself, the same as like writing literature and everything, and you cannot be sentenced for that. But he was actually sentenced in Dutch, in Denmark, under the Dutch court. And yeah, he was unlucky, and it poses a question. What will happen with all the DeFi protocols and everything if, for example, Uniswap will start to be used by some big actors, laundering money and things like that. Yeah. So what's your take on that? Is it good? Should we really? By we, I mean, should government really do that and sentence people for writing the code that is not by itself used to exploit and steal from others?
So I can really turn into a huge conspiracy theorist right here. But I mean, quite literally yesterday or 2 days ago, I saw there was like regulation in the EU apparently coming through about how people, citizens of every single EU country will have to declare all the assets that they own. It's a very fairly new proposition. Yeah, literally like 1 or 2 days ago, it came into kind of like request, let's just say. And when you kind of pair this up with the, undermining of privacy of Tornado Cash, it's kind of weird how everything really, the timing of all of it does raise questions. I really hate wording everything like this because it is just like crazy conspiracy theory. But it's like you can't really just look at the timing of it and just shrug it away. It does raise a lot of questions. It's like everything is just, it looks like it's planned out ultimately. Another thing that I don't really like, specifically regarding Tornado Cash, is the fact that the government will always argue the complete negative sides of it, but will never argue the positive sides. It's always one-sided completely. It's like they tried to say what Tornado Cash apparently funded terrorism, right? It enabled money laundering from threat actors, normal drug dealers, and all this stuff. But it's like, well, you can do the exact same thing with paper money. A lot of people also have like fake bank accounts in the traditional world. You don't actually, like, when you argue that, you're not really doing much. Like you're not solving any problem. And even if you do try to solve that problem, considering it's already out on the internet, somebody will just fork it. Somebody will create a replacement for it, and that's it. It's kind of like, imagine like what happened with Silk Road, right? Look at all the other markets that exist and just keep popping up. You're never really going to solve the problem. But I mean, the main problem here is actually privacy. We need privacy, and crypto is very big on that. But it's quite crazy to just see how you can go to prison for code. Honestly, there's quite a few problems with this in mind. But yeah, Jordan, what do you think?
Yeah, so for sure, okay, I have a bit of mixed feelings about it, and I'll explain why. Because the thing is, I do believe that Tornado Cash might have done more damage than like the positive things that it has contributed to. But yeah, generally just the idea of getting prisoned only because of a piece of code that you've wrote is, okay, where's it gonna end? If it happens once, it's gonna happen twice, it's gonna happen a third time. And the thing is that it's just unfair. Like, to put it short, it's just unfair. I do believe that any code that can go on the blockchain should be able to do that. Everybody should be able to do anything they wish. As I've said, it does not create a new problem, but rather that it just doesn't fix an old problem that has existed for years before and will exist in the future.
Yeah, in a way, it also expands it, right? Because it gives a lot of attention to it.
Yeah, and also the thing about crypto is that people say that crypto is this optimal thing for money laundering that it's impossible to track or something like that. Well, in reality, it's much better. It's much easier to track than just, let's say, regular cash, because everything is stored on chain. You can see absolutely everything. You can analyze anything. You cannot analyze random cash transactions that go on the street. This type of stuff, you cannot track it, but you can always track everything on crypto. So I think that is actually slightly better.
The only problem that you would face is if you're up against somebody who's very technical and knows essentially all the methods. That would be the only problem. Other than that, is definitely easier. I agree.
And like, imagine tomorrow law enforcement hires Zach to just find a notorious drug dealer. It will be an easier task. But then
exactly.
Imagine the same thing tries to be done with someone who just only deals with cash. Yeah, absolutely impossible.
Yeah, and imagine that Zach has all the tools that government has. And some additional knowledge of the Secret Service. I guess that it will not be good for or anyone that tries to hide, in blockchain.
I'm pretty sure Zach as well on Twitter, there was a specific case that he was just, investigating by himself, and FBI directly reached out to him and they constantly tried to get in contact with him. I'm 99% sure it was Zach, because he's probably, he's one of the best, I would say, in open source intelligence. But yeah, they were completely sending him emails. They were pretty much doxing him. And just
they did dox him, yeah.
Yeah. So it was Zach. Yeah. It was quite crazy to see that from FBI. Yeah, I've never seen something like that before. So it was quite crazy to see Zach just give a lot of attention to that and just be like, "Yo, just leave me alone. I'm just doing what I like, and that's it."
Okay, guys, I think that's all for today. It was super cool, amazing. Jordan, thanks a lot for joining. You shared a lot of great perspectives. I think that people will be able to get some pure alpha also from this talk. Thanks a lot. It was the pure pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk with both of you. Always amazing to connect with such great minds like you guys.
Yeah, thank you. It was amazing to meet you, Jordan. Again, like I said earlier, I like your perspective. Very inspirational as well. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you.